What's up, travelers? Welcome to the Explounderless channel. We are in Switzerland. We're in Bern. We're on our way to Gruyere to try some delicious, amazing, creamy cheese. I'm so excited because I'm such a huge cheese lover. We are waiting on the train. The train should be here pretty soon, maybe about 5-10 minutes, and then we're gonna work our way there. Cheese me, please. We're on our way to the place where it started. I mean, can it really get more authentic than Gruyere cheese in Gruyere? So we finally made it to Gruyere. As soon as you step off the train, you can see the cows, you can smell the freshness. The cheese factory is literally right across the street, so we're gonna go over there and see if we can try some authentic Gruyere cheese. Okay, so we are in the factory. We're about to do the demonstration for the cheese. And look what they gave us. A block of cheese. Oh, that's good. It's really good. Took another bite. Okay, let's go. Gruyere is the most popular cheese in Switzerland. The history of Gruyere goes as far back as the 12th century. It is a hard cheese that is rich and nutty in flavor. The cheesemakers produce 48 wheels of Gruyere each day. In the current day, the majority of the process is done by machines, from the milking of the cows to the curdling of the milk. I've been assured that this is a much safer process, however. After the milking process, the milk is left to settle overnight. Starter cultures made from whey are added to the vat in order to mature the milk. The curd is cut into tiny pieces by large knives and then gradually cooked at an even higher temperature. The grainy curd and whey are then pumped into large molds, and they are given the official Gruyere stamp. Each wheel is placed in a salt bath for 24 hours. The cheese is then left in the cellar to mature for 5 to 18 months. Attached to the factory is a store where you can buy Gruyere cheese as well as pre-made fondue. I feel like there have been way too many times where I've thought about buying a hot pot. I want one. Problem is I wouldn't have any place to put it. Too much luggage. A fondue restaurant is also attached, and a simple fondue recipe is actually shared on their website. I'll attach the recipe in the description below. All journeys must eventually come to an end. I learned so much on this day trip, and now Chef Kevin is going to teach us how to apply this knowledge to an actual dish.
My name is Kevin Moritz. I'm the head chef, culinary director of the Turbinenbräu in Switzerland. We are here in Zurich. On the side we have a nice brewery, which we're going to use the beer as well in the cooking part today. We have a nice seasonal time at the moment, so we go for a little bit of deer. We have chestnut for it, then we go for some Gruyere cheese, which we have here on the sides. Some nice promata from the oven as a side dish. We're gonna start with the deer. Gonna take it out from the bone right now. We're gonna take the skin away, because this you don't really much want into your food. We're gonna prepare a really nice marinade for that. So we're gonna nicely chop onion. Try to cut it as finely as possible. I prepared a couple of spices already. The clove. And we have some wacholder. We have rosa pepper and cumin. We're gonna grind down to a nice fine powder, which is the base of the marinade, which gives the flavor to the meat. I love to go into mountains for hiking, for enjoying the nature, to have good food like the fondue on the Almhütte, you know. Of course, we want to represent this Alpine style also a bit. So what we do, we cook with a lot of fresh herbs, so you can see here. We have a couple of nice spices, also seasonal. So I'm gonna use olive oil from Sicily. I have sea salt. Nicely on both sides. We're going with our spice mix. So here we go, to rub it a bit into the meat. So we're gonna let rest now for around 10 to 15 minutes, that the flavors go into the meat. We're gonna use some lemon zest as well. Some lime zest. You know, the steer is actually a pretty sweet taste, so I try to balance that out with the sourness of the citrus fruits. Also a little bit of orange. Then we have in the garden, we had like Citron Melisse, which is wild, just in front of the door. Gonna use that a bit too. So here we go for rosemary. Rosemary has a lot of deepness of the flavor. I like that. Same like with the thyme, which I also gonna use for it. So nice herbal mix to cover the meat in the end then, before it goes to the oven, right? So Put a little bit of sea salt. If you can smell that, it's pure freshness. You have to make sure that the pan is hot enough to give like a nice crust on it, but not overcook it in the end, because we want to have it nice and medium, like on 56 degrees basically. So here I'm gonna start with. So actually it just takes you a couple of seconds, then you can turn it. Now we're gonna put it on the other side. It goes to the oven now for a slower process of cooking through. Otherwise it gets very dry if you overcook it. Right. Put the nice spices we wanted to turn on. So now I smell already that a really nice chili flavor, like the orange is coming out, the lemon is coming out in the smell. Fantastic, really, I really like this. If you have it cooked like this, it takes another 6 minutes in the oven on 170 degrees. And I just let it rest like for another 5 minutes just on room temperature, that the juice is going back to the meat. You want to make sure after the cooking process that the meat is going to relax. And so it takes all the juices back, which they're going to share in the meat in the end. I'm going to start with the cheese espuma. Since the pan is heated up, we're going to put some butter inside. Swiss people love butter and cream into their meals. We're going to go on with the onions. I used half an onion for kind of like 1 liter of cream. Put some salt into it. There we start with the cheese as well. I got a 3-year-old Gruyere. It's my favorite. It's like a pretty hard cheese to give the espuma, like the foam, a nice flavor. If you go to the mountains, they have special versions also from cheeses. Like pretty traditional in the Alpine is also the hay cheese, it's called. So it gets fermented actually after a time in hay. Getting like really packed into it and starting to ferment. So even the grass flavor, the hay flavor goes into the cheese after time. We can infuse that maybe a little bit with zest, which is a really good thing. You can find beautiful stuff in the mountainside of Switzerland. You know, if you go for a nice hike or anything, you can plug it everywhere. So you can find pretty good healthy herbs. When the onion gonna change the color, it's actually the nicest taste. It gets a little bit roasted, so you get the bitter flavor out of the onion. It gets sweet, which is even more interesting for me. Gonna turn this off, take the sage out. Then I'm gonna put some nice cream inside. Now we just have to be a little bit careful, because when you overheat the milk and put in cheese, start to cook, you're gonna split the protein of the cheese, so the whole thing actually get destroyed. So what I always use is kind of like a temperature of 60, 65 degrees for the milk. I'm gonna put the cheese inside, I'm gonna take it on the side. So this is starting to bubbling up. I'm gonna go with the cheese. Now I'm gonna turn it down and just let it simmer a bit. The sweet paprika, gonna add a bit on. Fits amazing to cheese. What I also have here is this famous Bramata, you know. I had to prepare it yesterday already because it needs to cool down overnight to get all the stickiness. Then I put some spice in it, salt in it, and then the Bramata comes in. You're gonna fill it up with vegetable bouillon. And in the end, when it's cooled a little bit down, when the Bramata is almost cooked, you're gonna fill up a lot of cheese. And I use the Gruyere for that as well. Okay. All right? Then you just mix it, leave it, let it cold, and then next day you can stitch it out like that. What we do with this is putting it into the oven on 160 degrees, probably for 20 minutes, and you will see how crunchy it comes out from there, right? So next thing what we do is preparing the king oyster mushrooms. So I'm gonna go also with olive oil, so quite a bit. Those mushrooms are like sponges, so as soon as you put them to the pan, they suck up all the fat. The pan is quite hot when I do that, because I want the roasting, I don't want that it start to cook. Basically, when you start with the mushrooms to put them in a pan, you always need to take a hot pan, because when they start to cook, all the water actually disappears. It cooks through. Then like a spongy taste or spongy texture of a mushroom. So I want to make sure I have that crispy from both sides. Put it into the oven, and then I cook it actually ready. And this is just to roast it a bit and get the nice flavor out of the mushroom. Just gonna add on a little bit of butter. I took it off from the flame right now, because when the butter starts to burn, it gives this nice flavor to the mushrooms, and they suck it up as well. So you get all this nice buttery taste, nutty taste you get in the mushrooms, which even gets more power into the whole dish, right? Gonna take out the mushrooms now. So cheese is amazing with like deer, and mushroom makes it light, and some crunch on the side with the Bramata. Just a combination of Swiss products. Yeah. Gonna strain that. Gonna fill up the foam here, the espuma. Just gonna leave that on the side right now. The last thing what we have to do, making the sauce, I'm gonna chop another half of an onion for that, pretty fine. Straight to the pan as well. All these flavors are actually fusing right now, right? So, gonna lower down the fire, gonna add on a little bit more butter. What I prepared also in the days before is like a wild or wild jus. So it's like a basic sauce from the bones of the deer, right? The bones are gonna get from the butcher, but this is kind of like a cooking process, like over probably 3-4 days minimum. You're gonna start to roast the bones, right? Then you're gonna fill them up. You go with tomato inside. After 3 days of cooking down, you're gonna arrive on a really thick sauce, which is cooked like that. What I do now, I wanna also bring the beer inside to the meal. So I got these onions here. Gonna put beer on it. What happens with the beer when it melts or reduces down is you get the malt taste even more. So it gets also like you have bitterness inside, you have a nice sweetness from the sugars, from the fermentation, which I'm gonna use in the balance to the sauce, which is pretty bitter and strong, right? So here I'm gonna add on the jus now. A little pinch of sea salt, a little bit of orange zest, and a little bit of lemon as well, and a little bit of chili. So you can see how it reduces right now, becomes a really thick sauce. I personally like it to put a little bit of cream inside as well. It gives like a pretty nice roundness on the dish in the end, right? So I have another thing here, which I'm gonna use as well. Those are like the chestnuts. I pickled them like 3 days ago already. You're gonna start with the sugar, caramelize it. You're gonna add on like a little bit of white wine. I'm gonna put it on vinegar. Then you're gonna go for the chestnuts in, so it kind of like pickles and sweetens a bit in the same way. We're gonna go there for Preiselbeeren. It's kind of like a jam. The Austrians eat it next to the most famous Wiener Schnitzel, you know. Gonna add like 2 nice spoons on it. So it gives a very sweet taste in the end. Sauce is ready. Tea is ready.
You can taste the delicious flavors of Switzerland in this dish. I feel like we need to of everything, yeah. Trying to. Hey. That is really good.
Sweet, the creamy.
The cheese in here is just so amazing. Doesn't get better than cheese in Switzerland. Be sure to subscribe to learn more about a dish in the next city we visit. Also, like and comment what your favorite cheese is.